Redditors assemble. r/AskReddit. High school teachers of Reddit. What is the one thing that you want your students to know that you'd never tell them in person? The weed smell doesn't magically disappear between the parking lot and my classroom. How do I smell, bro? You're good. Me? You're good too. Do my eyes look red? That we have much better hearing than you assume. We just choose our battles as it pertains to inappropriate comments. And sometimes I pretend not to see that thing you did just because I too found it humorous, and speaking to you about it would only result in me cracking up. It's so funny when they think they're getting away with something, but no, it's just near the end of the day and you're too tired to deal with it. I freaked a student out a few months ago. As he passed me out the door, I leaned down and whispered, "Don't make paper airplanes in my class anymore." He had no clue I'd seen, went white as a sheet and left. He hasn't done it since, yet. Or he got better at hiding them. When you think you are being genius by getting me to talk about random things at the beginning of class, instead of teaching, I'm really allowing it to happen. See, I don't have enough plan to cover a full class. My favorite high school teacher, he taught history, confessed on the last day of my senior year that he always started class by talking about something completely random, because he knew none of us were ready to pay attention right when class was supposed to start. Had no idea. It was a really good strategy that made the transition into the lesson a lot less jarring. I had an American history teacher that did the exact same thing. He was awesome. My history teacher did something similar as well. He also threw markers and other mostly harmless objects at students that fell asleep in his class. Needless to say, he was awesome too. I'm a bus driver. Sit the frick down, you will die if I crash. Understood. Stands up. I can definitely hear the horrible things you are saying. Yes, I see that you are on the other side of the room. I may be old to you, but I am certainly not deaf. Also, that teenage boy is definitely going to buy you a Big Mac in exchange for oral sex. 100 out 100 times. I need the story on that second one. This girl was telling a boy about how hungry she was and didn't have any money. They didn't think I could hear them, of course. She says, "I'll suck your dong if you buy me a Big Mac." We're not exactly in the best area here. I pretended like I didn't hear it, of course. I remember seeing a meme where some girl made fun of short guys and short dude responded with, "You gave me head for a Whopper" or something. I guess burgers for BJS are a thing. Please stop dueling in the classrooms, that's what the bathrooms are for. Recently my school put detectors in the restrooms, but some kid in one of my classes still needed his nicotine fix. So he ripped a fat one with his face in his backpack and said the smoke was his laptop malfunctioning. Why are there toilets in the duel room? That it's just as weird for me as it is for you when we bump into each other in public. I saw my English teacher at the grocery store one. We made eye contact and I nodded. He nodded back. We kept walking. Said nothing about it the next day. Never brought it up. That's proper procedure. One of my high school Spanish teachers came to view my parents' guest house that was for rent. I made damn sure I went out and said hola to her. I couldn't have my Spanish teacher living 20 feet from my house, even if she was one of the hot teachers. Gabriella, the hot high school Spanish teacher, is looking for a new place to live when she finds a guest house listed on Craigslist. Little does she know it's on the property of the parents of Jimmy, her favorite student. School nights are about to get cleaned this fall in mi casa y su casa. If I didn't think you would abuse the situation, I would really enjoy being more human and casual around you. I think you are a fun person to be around. This one hits home. I was close with a couple teachers through high school, and would even put an extra effort in those classes. But when the teacher would get to a comfortable level around us, it was easy to forget that they got there because of the effort I put in, and it isn't an excuse to stop trying cause they like you. But when the teacher would get to a comfortable level around us, it was easy to forget that they got there because of the effort I put in, and it isn't an excuse to stop trying cause they like you. I think this is true for all relationships, friendships or otherwise. My gamer tag. I usually say there's a policy against it, but there isn't. I just don't want to play Overwatch or whatever with a bunch of relatively good kids who turn into total monsters when they play video games. If I tell the cool ones, it'll get around. Don't do it. It's like when a kid finds out a teacher's cell phone number somehow. Then the whole school calls. I don't think I ever will. I know some teachers who play more MP games that have done it and some have serious regrets. I had a math teacher in HS who would only play with you after you graduated. Strict policy. But he kept by it apparently. It worked well as a deterrent too, because I had him when I was 16. By the time I graduated I really didn't give two shits about adding him on Steam anymore. I don't care that you came to class stoned. Just stop interrupting class, and for God's sake, don't touch any power tools while you're stoned. I knew a guy that would come into first period stoned. He would always complete his work extremely fast, and accurately too. Then he would just stare at his paper or whatever when he's done. Basically a genius when stoned. I had a copy editor at my high school newspaper who was high as frick every time he edited our paper, but he was the best copy editor and caught everything. He said being stoned just put him in the zone to notice all the little details. Whatever works. I didn't give a shit. Best physics students I knew in uni were always stoned. Helped them not overthink everything. Boy, I could have used that. A lot of us probably drink, smoke, sleep around, etc. more than you do, and hearing you talking about it and trying to hide it, as if it's something we wouldn't know about is richly ironic. Or worse, boast about it like it's something we would never understand. Yes. I love how in high school they still think all teachers are pearl clutchers. I mean you kind of want them thinking that, but it's still really funny at the same time that students think every taboo thing that they think, say, or do just blows our minds with how edgy they are. My entire high school's English department came to the same fancy restaurant's bar most weekends together to talk shit about their students. It was an hour across town and not likely the kids from our school would ever be in a fine dining place that far away. I worked there for over a year as part of our wait staff. Waiting fine dining is a killer gig if you know anything about wine. When I was in my early 20s, I loved talking shit about my old classmates and hearing their honest opinions about me after a free bottle of $200 wine. I hate the texts as much as you do, but everyone just shrugs when I suggest changing them up. I'm sorry they made us keep that awful after book on the list. I genuinely offered to buy them all back from students so I could burn the waste of time that they are. I had an eccentric literature teacher in high school, Dr. Paddock, who was required to teach the Odyssey. He absolutely hated it. So much so, he taught us off of the Cliff Notes. He explained how he was teaching it to us under protest, in his very thick Polish accent. Just another example. He organized the class into rows, then gave each person a rank. The first in the row was the captain, and so on. You got promoted or demoted for getting answers right, but also for completely arbitrary reasons. Depending on his attitude, mannerisms, and overall personality, that last part could be hilarious or terrible. I'm leaning towards hilarious, but my sense of humor is a little warped. Makes me think he's a Polish Dumbledore. 5 points to Gryffindor. Move up. You don't say thank you. -5 points from Gryffindor. Move back. One day you're going to come across people who are not being paid to tolerate you, and all of a sudden life is going to become considerably more difficult. I feel like they should be told this in person. Yeah, I would pay to have this engraved on the threshold of my old high school, to be honest. I said something like this to a kid with a bad attitude when I was a volunteer tutor. Something to the effect of, I don't have to be here, and if you don't want my help it doesn't matter to me. He was shattered, was crying when his mum picked him up. When I saw him again it was a completely different kid. Super respectful. Yes, I do have favorite students. No, I won't tell you who they are, because that would discourage you, but yes, they're probably who you imagine them to be. I hope your students never find out your username. Samazes. Hey, it's me, one of your students. I encourage my worst kids as much or more than my favorites. because I don't want them back in my class next year. I wonder if that's one of the reasons some of those ever pass the grade. Welp, they're not my problem now. That is absolutely 100% true. And it's a problem. I work with kids who are on track to graduate with a 1.5 GPA and 6 credits by junior year. You're telling me this kid, who reads on a 7th grade level and passed 2 classes this year, is graduating next year? For a lot of the schools I work with, however, this is easier than expelling, which sometimes I swear is what the schools really want. For reference, I work with youth referred to family court, so there are often behavioral problems at play, but come on. If you're jacking off in class, we can tell. This is a common occurrence. Well, it's either that or they're getting really into their phone. That's a common occurrence even without peen. If you're going to eat in class, stop staring at me while you're doing it. You're ratting yourself out. Confidence. Asserting dominance. And all of a sudden Mr. Hungry is the new teacher. I knew you were cheating, so I gave you a test with the answers in a different order for the rest of the semester. You clearly weren't very bright to figure it out, and yes, I am that spiteful. It was easier than reporting the cheating. For me it's been. I knew you were cheating on every test this term, but it didn't really matter, because you failed every one anyway. Guess you didn't notice that my computer-based test randomizes the questions. I took a hybrid course last semester, and when the instructor explained to us how we will take exams, he made it clear that we were to be alone and that the questions were randomized. Also, he told us that he's had people complain that the questions were randomized, like, hey, why are the questions in different orders when we take the exams together? That's fricked up. Why those people complained, I have no clue. That's like complaining to the cops that a meth dealer ripped you off. Why those people complained, I have no clue. That's like complaining to the cops that a meth dealer ripped you off. People did complain to cops about drug dealers ripping them off. They are probably these same people. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button and leave a comment which story you liked the most. Subscribe and hit the bell notification for updates on our latest videos. And don't forget to check the links in the description box for more awesome content.